Hey there, sports fans. We're into the top 8 of the PTQ in Liverpool. And we got Neil Rigby playing his green-white Auras deck. We've had a chat to Neil a few times today. And he'll be up against Alessandro playing robots, otherwise known as Affinity, but now with nothing in the way of actual Affinity creatures.
Yeah, it's only got Thoughtcast in there as any card which has Affinity at all in it.
So we've cut a bit of cutting and shuffling out because Neil unfortunately mulligans to 4.
The curse of the camera striking again, it seems to be with this one. And Alessandro's starting with Springleaf Drum, so at least he's not got a threat on the board for Neil to worry about yet. But the start that he doesn't want to see from the Affinity or Robots deck is one involving Mox Opal, because that usually involves a turn 2 Cranial Plating and swing when that happens.
But of course, you know, mulling to 4 doesn't really leave you much in the way of options.
No, not really, although Neil does have a...
You're going to keep basically any one lander, really, at that point. You don't really have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, Neil's deck isn't tremendously land heavy.
Yeah, I think it was running 16, wasn't it, and a couple of...
16 plus Dryad
Arbors,
yes.
Yeah.
And Alessandro's going to...
So yeah, he plays one land, he just passes. You know, he doesn't have his Slippery Bogle or anything like that, so...
Nope, and Alessandro's coming in for the poison with Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, Affinity's always going to win from here, but, you know, we can talk briefly about these matchups anyway, and assuming both starts on 7 cards, what you kind of expect from both of them.
I think that Neil's plan is going to be the same in this. Matchup as it is in many, because Affinity does have several creatures which can avoid blocking, like Signal Pest can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. Inkmoth Nexus, Ornithopter, then it pretty much turns into a straight up race.
And of course it can, if it chooses to, ignore the Spirit Link effects as well by going for poison rather than a life loss.
Yeah, I imagine poison's going to be the main way that Robots is going to win game 1.
Yeah, because I mean, if Neil goes by the strategy of getting the guy and getting lots of guys sort of the high power and toughness and Spirit linked up, it's like he's going to win that race. So
yeah, especially if he has Daybreak Coronet or, as you said, Spirit Link, it becomes very difficult for even Robots, which can put a lot of damage out very quickly. Yeah. It becomes hard for even that, because one Coronet's going to negate a Cranial Plating.
Well, we found that with a lot of previous rounds with Neil's deck, was that it looked like he was losing matchups and just like one hit once the Coronet had come out.
Yeah, was, you know, and the one thing that you can see there from the Robots player is that he just casts Whip Flare, and that's something that gives the Robots deck an advantage in this matchup if Neil can't get a heavy enchantment drop quickly, because obviously a one-sided Pyroclasm in a creature-based matchup is always going to be very telling.
It's the interesting thing though, Robots always has a lot of hate for it, and that's not because people expect Affinity. It's just all the other decks that are out there have a lot of bad cards.
Yeah, I suppose, I mean, the one thing that we always thought about for the most part, and Neil actually has a path to exile there for the Inkmoth Nexus, so at least he can maintain some amount of survival, and Alessandro's not even looking through his deck. He knows he doesn't have another basic land. But one of the things that you generally do when building a sideboard for Modern, or at least a lot of people do when building sideboard for Modern, they think, what am I going to need in my sideboard? And if they've got red in the deck, the first thing that goes in is Ancient Grudge or something along those lines, which is going to hurt Affinity. And you just know that no matter what tournament you're at, some Robots players are going to be there.
Maybe some Pyroclasm type effects, they're also pretty effective.
Yeah, Affinity also has that's a Master of Ethereum, so this attack's going to be pretty large from Alessandro, and unless Neil has another path to exile, he's going to be eating an awful lot of damage from that Master.
But you know, it's important when you multi 4 and you just get one of those draws that you don't let it affect you for game 2.
Pretty much. I mean, one of the most important things is going to be your mulliganing decisions from here on out and not letting it affect you on that front. But with a Master of Ethereum and a Cranial Plating on the table, Neil's not coming back from this.
So we'll move on to game 2 right after this break.